Hello! Hi! Welcome back to Late Night Anime. Uh this week we watched Mobile Suit Gundam: The Origin.
That's
It was
that's
it,
correct.
it
Mobile
was
Suit Gundam: The
pretty
Origin.
fun, gotta say, somewhat.
Yeah.
Um,
All right.
let's
Wow.
see.
Okay, that was a great start.
Hell yeah, we're super high energy this week. What do we talk about first? Seasonals? I think I'm out of the loop
Yeah.
actually. I think
Are you
I
not caught up with
I
seasonals?
think I
You fall
I
behind.
think I fell behind by a couple episodes.
Dumbass.
Not a couple, but like one or two.
Oh, I'm
Um,
behind on like Ruby, which is the only thing you're watching aside
well,
from like Call of the Night.
I'm an episode. No, I think I'm 2 episodes behind now for Call of the Night,
Oh, damn!
and
Really? That
one
sucks.
or
The
two
most
for
recent
Ruby.
episodes have been really good.
Yeah, I'll
I'm
have
two
to
episodes
catch up
behind
with
on
them.
Ruby. I don't think I'm
I
missing out on too much.
I don't think I'm gonna keep watching Ruby. I think I've fallen out of it, and I'm not
You've
gonna
made it
keep
to your
going.
dropping point.
I
Yeah.
think so. It's not good. Uh,
No, it's kind of boring. Compared to Call of the
yeah.
Night, though, dude, I've been loving it.
Yeah.
It's been good. It's
Nice. Yeah.
consistently of good quality. I
I'll
don't
ma
want to spoil
I'll make
the
sure to
most
get
recent two
back to it.
episodes, but they've been really good.
Yeah, no, I'll for sure make sure to get back to it. I've been busy, sort of.
All right, well, instead of that, how about I talk about something I've read recently, or
Hell
I'm
yeah.
in the
Let's
middle
hear.
of
Tell
reading.
me about it. Tell me all
I
about
for
it.
like $27, I got 4 volumes of this manga called Getter Robo Devolution,
Oh.
which was a manga I was like reading a bit online. And I was like, damn, the art for this is really good. Too bad I'm reading it on my phone, and also the scans for this suck balls. So I was like, fuck it. Does this have a proper English release? Holy shit, it does. That never happens for me.
Hell yeah.
And so I was like, damn, okay, I can get like 4 volumes for less than $10 a piece. I'm down with that. So I
Nice.
got these bad boys, and they're in like good condition too, like
Lovely.
minimally used, just really nice. And the art is insane. It's based off it's a spin-off to Go Nagai's like 70s manga, Getter Robo. This is
Uh-huh.
like from like 2015, I think. And it's by like different authors, of
Yeah.
course, because Go Nagai's old as fuck now. I don't know what he's doing. Probably living the high life after having traumatized many people with his work.
Oh,
But yeah,
really?
it's definitely just like very edgy super robot with a lot of like sci-fi bullshit. And so I quite like it.
Lovely.
And there's a lot of like guts and shit, and like it's very Go Nagai in just the sense that it gets dark and edgy really fast, and almost to like an absurd point. And the sci-fi is like kind of bullshit, and it's
I
fun.
mean,
It's a good
is
read so far.
that's sci-fi is always kind of bullshit though. That's kind of why it's
Oh yeah, this
sci-fi.
one's like parallel worlds, fucking like big robots, like changing society, fighting God, and
Oh,
a whole lot of
lovely.
other shit. Time travel. It's fucking stupid. I
I
definitely would recommend giving it a read,
for
even if it's just
sure.
for like the art, because the mecha designs in it. Ah, damn, the Getter Robos look so cool in it.
Yeah,
Because the Getter Robo has like 3 separate forms,
you certainly seem
from
to
what
have a
I've seen
thing for
so far, and
mechas, so I can
yeah, yeah,
believe it.
the robot art is sick. Same with the character art too.
Yeah,
The artist behind it really captures the like original Go Nagai character designs. Kind of turns him up
yeah,
to 11 sometimes. I really like it.
lovely.
Um, did you read anything or watch anything interesting this week?
Not
Had for time?
I've been rewatching I forget what the name of it. I think
Okay,
it's In the Land of Leodale. Um
I haven't seen that.
yeah,
Is
it's
it good?
like I guess it's technically an isekai, but it doesn't really feel like it. It's technically a video game isekai, but it doesn't really have the same feel as most of them do.
What
Sort
is
of.
it? Just a slice of life?
Pretty much. It's kind of it follows this girl who is like we don't really know why, but she was in the hospital and kind of lived in VR anyway, and then
Yeah.
like her life support failed and she's dead but in the game now. Um and it's just like it's a really comfortable show in my opinion.
Mm.
Um so it's like kind of low energy-ish or not low energy,
Mhm.
but it's just It's
Like it's
light.
like an Iyashike.
I don't know. I don't know if I know that.
Iyashike is like what's the translation for that to English? It just means it's like a really calming. The whole point of it is to be really calming and relaxing.
It seems
It's
like
very
it,
much
and
about
it's kind of just
healing the audience and about daily life, sort
pretty
of thing.
much. I mean, it's kind of like daily life if you're the most powerful being in the world. But
Yeah.
yeah, but I don't know. I really enjoy it. It's kind of cute and fun. That's it.
No, I
Um
like good Iyashike.
and
I've really been into at a certain point. It's like Aria, the animation,
mhm.
or like the whole Aria series.
I don't know
That
if I've
is
seen it, but it
probably
sounds
my favorite
familiar.
Iyashike. That are like YKK, the manga for it at least.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, no, Aria the animation is it's just really beautiful, very
Yeah.
chill, and it has a lot of. It's in a very cool setting, being in like space Venice, and
Interesting.
it's
That does
overall
sound
just an
fun.
extremely chill show. I definitely would recommend it. It's probably that or like Hidamari sketch as well is another really good one.
Yeah.
That's more just about cute girls doing cute things in like art high school,
That's
and they
always
just do
fun.
cute shit and they sit around in an apartment and eat food.
Yeah. Yeah, but I haven't been watching much recently, but
Mm.
I do find myself either watching like the fluffiest of romance ones or just like super light slice of life stuff.
Yeah, that's why I've been completely avoiding that with my choices on these shows
That's
here.
perfect. I mean, I would never watch it otherwise. But let's get into the choice for this week. I think that's a
Yes,
good
Mobile Suit
idea.
Gundam: The Origin.
God damn.
This show is part of the Gundam series, which, if you didn't know, is
No, really.
probably the largest mecha series in all of Japan and all of the world. Ooh, Gundam, big robot. Ooh, I love Big Robot.
I mean, who
The
doesn't love
original
big
show came
robots
out.
though?
The original Mobile Suit Gundam show is a Studio Sunrise production from 1979, and due to a mix of budget and staff health concerns, show looked like shit. I've watched most of it. I still have to finish it. But yeah, that show was very low budget and sad, and it got canceled.
Oh, lovely.
It was a good show though. I still recommend watching it
I have
if you're
never
really
seen
interested
it.
in Gundam.
But
Um, but it was canceled for being a complete failure in a way.
oh,
Because
lovely.
like nobody's buying toys for this. No little kid's going out of their way to buy toys for whatever the hell you just made, Tomino. Because
Yeah.
the fucker decided to make, instead of the cool super robot, he decided to make a war drama with big robots.
I mean,
And
yeah. But
a
so
lot
that
of
applied
death
to a
and
different
being
audience,
edgy.
right?
Yeah, it was a very different audience. And then I think something along the lines of this is a very scuffed retelling of how this all like went around, you know?
Of
Of
course.
they're like, oh yeah, okay, well if we sell model kits, what happens then? And then fuckers bought model kits because adults like model kits and older people like Gundam because it's grittier and it's directed towards older teens, you know? It's
Yeah.
one of those series at the time. It's like, ooh, look at that. And then they're like, wait, what the fuck? Why is Gundam making money? Oh no, we have to make more. And now it's a fucking $1 billion franchise. So
Yeah, I mean, this wasn't my first introduction to the Gundam series, but it was my first one with sound. Which
yeah, yeah.
because
Yeah, when I pulled
because
up fucking Thunderbolt
exactly.
on your computer during class and made you watch it in silence, even though it has the best soundtrack out of any
Yeah,
Gundam
we
series.
watched the entire movie with no sound, just the
That is my
subtitles.
favorite Gundam too. Hell yeah. Oh yeah.
It was great. It was really engaging, and I mean, admittedly, we maybe shouldn't have been watching it during class, but
Fuck that, dude.
I mean,
It's a good show. It's a good
but
movie.
so that was my first introduction to it. But this was really
This is a
good.
very different experience.
Oh, it's wildly
And I think
different.
this is a it's interesting as a starting place. I was trying to think about like your experience as this is a starting
Hmm.
place because this takes place before the original Gundam franchise. If you couldn't
Yeah,
very obviously tell,
I picked
it's
up on
the
that.
origin. It builds up everything up to the point of where the original show started,
Yeah,
where it kind of leaves off is right then and there. And it it's very much about like I it's made for Gundam fans. you're kind of expected to know some bits already.
Uh-huh.
Like when you see a character, you're meant to go, "Oh, I recognize that guy from the show from the 70s. Oh my god, wow, I remember him. He fucking died in episode 12. Wow."
Yeah.
There's a lot of that. So I was interested in what you thought as kind
Well,
of your first real
for
introduction
me
to the Universal Century.
what I got from it, I mean, I feel the first two felt unnecessarily long and slow. That
Oh,
was my
OVAs.
the first two of the
Yeah.
OVAs. That was my
Mm.
opinion. It just they were kind of a slog to get through.
Really, you
Um,
didn't like them?
I liked them fine, but they were less interesting than the rest, is
Mhm.
basically the best way to put it.
I mean, they're the
Um,
least action-packed,
that's part of it,
for
probably.
one thing.
And I think part
Yeah.
of that is that I just have less
And
of
you
an
have less
attachment.
investment in
I
those
have less investment
characters,
in the
right?
characters, so I don't really care. That
Yeah,
seems bad
because
because
they show
all
you,
this
like,
bad shit happens, but like I didn't care.
they show you Char and Sayla, which are, like, the main or 2 of the main characters of the original Gundam. Char being the main antagonist in a sense, and
Yeah.
Sayla being one of the main characters on the white base. And yeah, it's kind of I don't know, I was very interested by that because I'm a Gundam fan. I like the characters. Just for context, Char is my favorite Gundam character. My
No,
freaking
really. I
profile
never would
picture
have
here
guessed.
is the Sarge dressed like Char. Um, yeah, no, it's so that was like it was definitely a very interesting thing for me to watch, and also, yeah, it definitely throws you into a lot of these politics as well very early
Actually,
on.
I will say
Which, like, if you've seen the show, you would kind of know it.
the
Hmm?
politics became the most interesting part though. They were fascinating.
I mean, that was
Um,
kind of this the core of this OVA at a
oh
certain
yeah.
point.
I mean,
Like,
for
it just became this the entirety of this
it
OVA
was
past
cool.
like episode
I
4.
would be very excited to see where it goes next, kind of.
Hmm.
Um, but it's kind of just
What are
like,
you?
hmm?
Oh, keep going, keep going, keep going. Didn't mean
I
to
don't,
interrupt you there.
yeah, I was just gonna say, it's kind of like, I didn't have the time to become attached to the characters soon enough for me to be able to enjoy their trauma. Um,
Mm,
so it was kind of like I had no attachment, but
hmm,
once through getting to know them through those episodes, the later episodes became more interesting for me personally, just
hmm.
because like I knew them then, so I was
Yeah,
more
yeah, you knew
invested
them at
in
that
them.
point. Yeah, that's why I think it's very much like a Gundam series for Gundam fans in a
Yeah.
sense, because it's like, hey, look, Char Aznable, everybody's favorite guy. Look at how he plastered him all over every single piece of marketing ever in Japan. Well, here's his backstory, and so you're meant to kind of already be invested in that.
Yeah.
Be like, wow, really? And yeah, I guess for a new viewer, it's like, who the fuck is this weird ass Aryan kid? What the
No,
fuck is he doing?
exactly. You don't know him, you don't care about him. But
Yeah.
it was, I think the least interesting one for me personally was episode 2 or OVA 2, I guess.
Which what happened in that
Which
one?
is
What's the difference
essentially
between that and the one?
that one is the
Oh wait, that's the one
period
where they moved to Texas.
that's well, it's so I believe the first one ends with them leaving their whatever the Xeon.
Yeah, they leave the
Um
Principality of Xeon, and then yeah, origin number 2 is like they make it to like one family, and then that family, yeah, and then they're kind of
yeah,
forced out. They move to Texas.
right.
I mean, like the space base that is known as Texas, not
Not
Texas
actually
itself.
Texas. But yeah. Yeah, 'cause so um what happened in the first one was essentially, I guess, because I mean, the
Want to
first one was
recap it?
in yeah, we should. The first one was interesting at least because there was enough political intrigue and enough
There's
like
a lot of
things
politics in that.
happening, constantly pieces moving.
Yeah,
But
they
like
front load you with a lot of
honestly
politics
not much
in that one.
happened in it. But like
Mhm.
essentially what happens
It's
is it we follow, I mean, it follows from uh I guess,
okay. It starts off. Can I explain? I mean, it's kind
yeah.
of general Gundam. Earth. This takes place in the Universal Century, a time past AD or CE, when Earth has unified and colonized down to space. and we have sent out space colonies, and there's a number of them. I don't know the exact fucking number, but the one
A shit
furthest from the
ton.
Earth is a number I also forget, which
S-
later becomes the Principality of Xeon,
Side three.
named
Side three
after
was the farthest one, I believe.
Side 3. Yeah, that makes sense.
Um,
Yeah, Side 3. Uh, the issue with them is the main character, Shar, his father, is a political speaker. And that's kind of where we open up, is on this guy. And he's speaking
well,
about
I
how,
think we should bring
the
up
space
that his
colonies are,
his name is Casbah, isn't it? From
yeah,
at the
it's,
start.
uh, yeah,
That's important. That is important to know.
it's something Casbal Dekun.
Yeah.
And his father, Zeon Zum Dekun, is this politician on Side 3, and he speaks out against how the Earth is treating the colonies and that they're treated worse and they should get more from the Earth government.
Hmm.
And he's kind of become a revolutionary. And then a lot
Yeah.
of political bullshit with one side of this group assassinating him, who would become
Supposedly.
this group, the Zombies, the Zombie family,
We don't, I mean,
supposedly.
it's never confirmed is a
It's
thing.
it's it's yeah, like
I mean,
they did it.
probably.
The FBI didn't do it. They did it.
Yeah. Um,
Wait,
no.
so okay, he dies, and it causes the a kind of imbalance in power on Side 3, in
Well,
which the
it's not an
zombie
imbalance
family
in
and the Raw
power.
family.
It's
Well,
that
it's
his
kind of
his
it's an
entire
open seat.
political base was based around these two political families, the Zabis and the Raus.
Yeah, and
And
all the people that support
essentially
them.
what happens is as without Daikun to essentially be the
Be the leader.
be the leader, the Raus and the Zabis are instantly at each other's throats.
Yeah, they go
And
at it.
so but the story largely follows Casval and what's her name?
I forget what her freaking Xeon name is. Oh, Artesia. I just call her Selah
Artesia. Yeah.
and
Selah.
Shar.
But so it follows them as they're essentially being used as political pawns.
Yeah, they're political
Um,
pawns, and
and
they just
the
want to fucking leave.
yeah. And so
Which is, or
which
you can
yeah,
go.
which is
Yeah,
hard for them. But so essentially what happens is initially they're taken in by the Ryle family, which arguably are more loyal. And then the Zabis are kind of upset about that, and then it's like a whole back and forth.
yeah. It's a back and forth,
And
which ends
then
up with
both of
Ramba Raw and what's her name, Crowley Hamon, helping out the
right,
Daikun family and getting Shar and Selah out
they
of
leave.
Side 3, which is now becoming Xeon, and they leave
Yep.
and they head off to some other place, and they become they kind of change their identity, live with this other guy who becomes like a father to them. They
Hmm.
get they're constantly being followed by the zombie family and the people who work for the zombie family to try and get them
I don't
back
know
or
if
kill
they
them.
are in the first bit. I don't know. I
In the
think,
second,
well, so, because I guess they're,
the zombies paid off a group to kill them
was that?
in the
Oh,
second
oh, right.
OVA.
No, they
Yeah,
did. Forgot about
they paid
that.
off a group to try and kill them, and then that attempt failed because Shar kind of went off and
Yeah, he
fought back,
stabbed a
and
dude
they were
in the
able to
head.
escape. And
Um,
with help again, they were able to move to Texas and
well, it's like
the
it's
colony
side
Texas.
five. I think it's also called
Side
Loon,
5, yeah,
isn't it? Um,
yeah,
it's just
Loon
labeled
with
Texas.
Texas. Yeah, it's got
Um,
the big fat letters of
because what it
Texas
used
all
to
over it.
be is it used to be a theme park.
Yeah, a theme
Um,
park for America. American themed theme park.
uh,
They got guns and shit. Yeah, they go there. Shit happens. Cliff notes. Shar
yeah.
or Casval Remdekun meets a boy who looks just like him, who is named Shar.
The only difference is the color of their
That
eyes.
Yeah,
Um,
that boy is pretty headstrong, very similar to Shar, but he wants to. That
he's a
boy
lot
wants
nicer.
that Shar wants to join. Yeah,
Um,
he is. That boy wants to join the army, and
yeah.
Shar kind of uses this to advantage. Swaps places with him at a certain point, causes him to get killed. Just fucking betrays that dude outright.
Well, and
So
and
hard.
this is admittedly after his mom dies, right? That's kind
Yeah,
of a
Char's mom
key.
dies. Char goes a bit wacky mode. He gets a little crazy.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, though
and then yeah,
we
he's like,
see
oh
we see snatches of his, I don't want to
yeah,
call it
he's
insanity, but of his aggression essentially much
he's a
earlier
fucking
because
sociopath.
in their escape
Yeah,
from side 3,
when they escape Side 30, yeah,
he like
Char
essentially
is inside.
controls what's a military tank.
Yeah, the guns on a
Um
military tank, on a military mobile tank thing, whatever those are
and
called.
he like kills a whole
Say my
bunch of
Gundam fan, I
people
can't even fucking name
to
that.
get out of the
Yeah,
way.
get out the
Um
way.
and
And yeah, so
then
during this, while he's on Texas, the other dude goes to leave, and main character Char Casfall kind of uses this as his way to
leave
leave as
too.
well and go on with his big plan,
Well,
which is to SWAT, which is to.
well,
I mean, the fucking
not
betrayal is insane. I
necessarily.
love that scene.
What happens is it seems like he was that I don't think that was pre-planned, was it?
It's
Because it seemed
questionable. I don't think that
to
part was
me it
pre-planned.
seemed like
I mean, it
he
leads into what becomes his big plan, and he
yeah,
kind of on the spot and
it
goes,
seemed
"Yeah,
like
I'm
but
going to do
he
that."
kind of knew what yeah. So essentially what happens is
He
as
had
they're
a
preparing to
plan there.
leave, he
Well,
notices
as they're at TSA, he notices like he's being trailed, and these fuckers are just gonna kill him
yeah.
because that's what they've been doing the whole time.
So
Probably gonna plant something on the plane, blow him up,
but what
or the
happens
spacecraft. I mean,
is Shar, the non-main character Shar, has a gun in his bag.
he doesn't. It's Casval who plants a gun in
Right.
Char's bag. That's why I think it's pretty pre-planned, or at least as a safety mechanism. Is like, why the
Uh-huh.
fuck did Char bring a gun? Well, because drop it right into, or why did Casval have a gun? Because he can drop it right into the real Char's bag,
Yeah.
so that the TSA stops the real Char, and Casval and Char can just swap places real quick, and so that Casval thinks or the real Char thinks that he's going to not have to get stopped by the TSA again, go off to military school, when instead he's now the one who's being tracked and gets killed.
Yeah. But
Well,
long story
Casval
short,
now becomes Char
they
and
switched. Well, they
steals his
switched.
idea,
And
steals his
then
identity.
lets
Oh,
Shar die in his place.
yep.
And
And he
then
becomes the Char, and
becomes
it's
Shar.
such a dick move. I fucking loved it. It was so hilarious.
It
It's
was
like, oh my
terrible.
god, it's the
Uh,
most Char thing too. Because if you've watched the actual Gundam TV show, like the original Gundam TV show,
yeah,
there's a lot of shit that he does like that, where he'll
I
just
believe
betray a
it.
guy
I mean,
because he
well,
feels
he
like
does it
it.
again later.
He
Uh,
does do it again later in
but
this
so
OVA.
anyway, essentially what happens is then Shar goes to the military academy on Zeon, where what on side 3 that has now become the Principality of
Yeah, the
Zeon.
Principality of Zeon,
Um,
which is at high tensions with the United Federation, or fucking Earth, and the rest of the sides pretty much,
yeah,
but mostly Earth. Um, yeah, there Char goes through some military training. He meets Garma, which is a Zabi son, the youngest of the Zabi sons.
which he knew
So
before.
motherfuckers, yeah,
Um,
he's met Garma before,
yeah.
but
I
yeah,
think they were friends before too. Um,
eh,
well,
yeah,
we see the
a little one
hints of it.
sided.
Or at least
Well then, yeah, I
friendly.
mean, well, Char becomes Garma's friend,
Again,
befriends Garma, and
yeah.
uses him as another uses and Char uses Garma as a political pawn to fucking start what becomes the 1 year war.
Yeah. So what he did is essentially they became the top students of the school. And then
Hmm.
eventually the um tensions became so high between Xeon and the Federation that Shar essentially was like, you know what?
I'm gonna tip the
We should
scale.
strike first. Well
Yeah.
that's his quote unquote reasoning is we should strike first. Um
Yeah, let's and then he's like, let's strike the academy, the
it's
cadets
the
of the
military.
United Federation that are on
No,
Xeon,
no.
right?
It's a
Wasn't that
military base. It's not an academy.
yeah, oh yeah, not the academy. It was
But
the
he
cadets,
uses the
the soldiers that are
cadets.
on Xeon, which are
He
right by the academy.
which no. So the cadets are the ones in the academy. Um and
Fucking army talk. Shut
it's
the fuck
just
up.
soldiers
Oh, whatever,
in
whatever,
the military
whatever.
base. But anyway,
Yeah,
the
he goes off. He
he
kills
uses
this.
his third year this class of third year cadets, and they decimate the military base on Xeon. Um, and in that time, there was this one guy that found out that Shar was
Wasn't
Casnavalt.
actually Shar. Yeah.
And what he did is he convinced the dude to take over an enemy tank and then told other people to fire on said enemy tank.
On that tank because right, that's an enemy tank. I fucking love the way he did that too. He set
Oh
that up
God, it was
so
horrible.
insanely. He was like, "Okay, you did well on that like tank takeover training. How
Yeah.
about you go take over that tank and also contact me using this specific radio channel?"
I
And
felt so
then he
bad for the
like
guy immediately.
the
I
dude
was
was like,
like,
"Oh, okay, I'll do
you're
that. It sounds great."
fucked.
He gets in like this. He gets in the tank, and then Shark contacts the other guys and goes, "He died, man. Take out the tank."
Yeah.
And everybody else is just there and just blast the tank to shit while the other guy is like yelling at
Oh
Shar
my
over
God,
the
it's
radio to say,
horrible.
it's like,
Um,
"No, guys, it's me. I'm on your side. No, no, no." It
yeah.
was, oh, that was some real Shar shit.
But
And the fucking
so,
cinematic shots around that of Shar taking over
oh, it
like the
was so
main
good.
tower while that's going down. Ah.
The lighting was perfect for it too. Cause
Yeah.
and they played with the color red so much in that.
Hmm.
Red becomes a pretty
Shar is the red
prominent
comet.
it red becomes a really prominent color in the series, right? Like in
I
this
mean,
OVA.
it's Shar's show, and
Yeah.
he is the red comet. He is one to one associated with the color red. I'm pretty sure there was actually a, was it the GameCube that had a Char version, but
Huh.
it was just a red GameCube, but they
Really?
called it like the GameCube Char edition. I guess it had like the Xeon emblem on it as well,
Yeah.
but it's pretty much just a fucking red GameCube, and they're like, yes, this is
Uh,
Char's GameCube. Buy the Char
yeah.
edition GameCube.
But anyway, essentially what happens is they started a war, the war
Yeah,
between
the 1 year war,
Xeon
the United
and the
Federation.
United Federation or Earth. And but somebody had to take a fall for it, so Shar is sent to Earth um to like,
Yeah,
I don't know, do whatever.
they kind
He's
of,
just told to
yeah,
fuck
they
off
really,
for a
well, I mean,
while.
they exile Char. They're like, hey, you know what? You fucked this up. Yeah, Garma was in on it, but you were also in on it. So you're out of the cadets. You don't get to graduate. And yeah, he goes to Earth.
Yeah.
He meets. I mean, this episode wasn't even that important to the rest of the plot of this OVA. It's
Yeah.
more important to the plot of like
I
like
was
the
yeah,
rest
I was gonna
of
say
the
I
Gundam
was
series.
curious about this bit because essentially what happens is he meets a girl, right? Um,
Uh, you got that right.
and like she has the weird premonition abilities and shit.
Yeah,
Um,
she's a new type.
and yeah, that's what happens. And like I don't know. I didn't really fully understand it, and I expected more to come of it, but not much more did come of it. So
No, her character isn't too much of a character until like late into the original Mobile Suit Gundam TV show,
gotcha.
and then like a bit of stuff after that.
I see.
No, that was more of like fan service y setup to be like, hey, look, remember this character?
Interesting.
This is how Sharp met her. You know, this is, ooh, look, you guys. Hey, yeah.
Yeah, but
No, that whole part wasn't too important. Where Sharp
but
meets what's her name?
one important thing is that he did make what's his face, the commander, promise to instate him on the mobile suit
Yes,
like
he makes the one
immediately
of the zombie
if
brothers,
he's ever
Zombie
called
Dozel.
back.
Yeah, he's like, if you ever call me back, I saw the mobile suits. Put me in one. I want one,
Yeah.
please. And yeah, so after he goes to Earth for a while, he fucks off for a while. He comes back to Xeon. He's like, hey, remember when I said I wanted a mobile suit? I want it now.
Yep. And he
And they're like,
got
okay, fine. And it turns out
it.
he's the best mobile suit guy in the world, and he drives it real fast.
Yeah, because
He
because
shoots real good.
I don't need no limiters. Yeah.
His thing is red. It has to go fast. That's how it
Didn't
works.
you know
You
painting a
dingus.
vehicle red actually makes it go faster?
That is
Like, it's
true.
scientifically
I think he
proven.
just played too much Quake. He was just zooming around the map, sniping people. Um,
Um,
yeah, then a lot of political shit happens, and then the setup to like the stuff that happened in the 1 year war, like you actually get to see the events that are told in
yeah,
like the very beginning of the Gundam
essentially,
show, where it's
yeah.
like one of the bases falls onto Earth and fucking destroys it, and killing half the population of Earth with this massive like base falling on it. It's
Well,
insane.
it's like
And then
a
like
giant space habitat, and they launched
yeah,
it onto
well
Earth.
one of the sides. Yeah, and then they
Um,
fucking knock out everybody and they send it to Earth, and then
yeah.
big
Well,
boom.
they didn't just knock out everybody. That was not
But
a
yeah, they
sleep
froze
flight.
everybody to
Yeah.
death
Um,
by fucking with the gas on that. Yeah,
yeah.
no, that was an interesting part.
That was
I
really
think that the setup
sad.
for that was really grim. Yeah,
It
where they
was
set up these two
very
side
well done.
characters and they
And
just
well,
to
cause
fucking kill them.
the thing for me that I really enjoy about Gundam as a series is, I mean, like, we know who the bad guys are in this at least. But it's like
Shy as Nimble.
everybody is human is the
Yeah,
thing. They do such a good
no,
job
characters are
at
humanized.
presenting everybody as human. Um,
Yeah.
it was so good. But I
No, yeah,
mean,
definitely. Thing crashes to Earth. A few other things happen. I don't think there's too much to really talk about right now.
well,
I
I
don't
mean,
really mind just saying.
essentially what
It's just a lot of
happened
Gundam stuff, big fights,
was, well,
big politic.
Shar makes his way up through the ranks.
Yeah,
The war
and it ends with
continues
him.
and is like going, you
Yeah,
know?
and it ends with him being having kind of his own ship and
Yeah.
being sent to take down the Gundam, which is where the original Gundam show starts. This is
Oh,
actually a
gotcha.
Gundam show with no Gundams.
Well, right,
There
I
are no
guess
Gundams.
technically.
The Gundam hasn't even been created during the show.
Yeah,
By the end of the show, the Gundam has been created. Everything else up to this point has been a mobile suit, which is
right.
different for
What
some
is the
reasons.
difference? I don't
Um,
get it.
Gundam better.
I see.
uh, the Gundam has some sort of adaptation software in it that helps pilots pilot it better, and that's why a fucking 14-year-old can fly it so well and so easily, or
I see.
15-year-old, however old Amuro is. There's some stuff, some doodads to it that make it better than a mobile suit, and they're like the
Yeah.
reason a mobile suit is better than just like the United Federation's original mobile suits is because it makes full use of the Minovsky particle,
Uh-huh.
which is some particle Dr. Minovsky found. He's like, wow, we
It's
get the
it's
robots to run on this
okay,
shit. They can
it's
fucking fly like
Gundam's
crazy.
special space particle.
You can go
That's what all
woo
it is.
wee.
It's Gundam's special space particle. Every science fiction,
Yes,
every
yes,
sci-fi universe has their special space
special
particle.
space car. Yes, and this one makes
So
the Gundams fly faster. So
this one is just like energy, but like,
this makes the robots do better,
well,
fly through space better, and it
it
also disrupts like electronic
yeah,
channels and stuff like that. It's
it's
got other
like a
uses, but
combination EMP plus not really EMP, but like, I don't know. Just,
it's space dust. It's
it's
cool space dust.
it's cool space dust. That's it.
Yeah. um.
Um,
Overall, did you like the series?
I
What'd you
did.
think? What'd you think?
I enjoyed it. It was definitely well worth the watch. Yeah, no, I really enjoyed it. It was interesting how well they combine politics plus war plus making everybody human. This
Mhm.
one had a much clearer bad guy than
What do you mean?
that movie that you
Who would you say
showed
is the
me.
bad guy in this?
I mean, it's Xeon essentially. Is
Mm.
they're because essentially they're the aggressor. They're committing these atrocities.
I mean,
Um,
I'd say it's more of the zombies themselves too as a
well,
family.
yes, but like
Yeah, they
arguably
represent Xeon at a certain
they
point.
exactly they become what Xeon is.
Yeah,
And
I think
so and by
this sets it up
association,
interestingly.
Shar is also the bad guy, despite the
I mean,
fact that
he's
it
very much
centers
an
around
anti-hero in
him.
this show.
Um,
He's the anti-hero of this series, and then like the other series, he's very much more directly the villain. I think they do a good. They present the zombies well, and they're very much like they're bad people.
Oh,
Yes,
absolutely.
they're just very greedy people as
But
well.
they're
That's the
still
other thing. Is
human,
like
and I mean, like, what's his face?
I
Dozel?
think
Is that?
they have strong dynamics too
Oh
of
yeah.
like their different wants and stuff, especially with like the father, De Gwyn versus
Yep.
Gyron, the skinny brother.
Uh-huh.
Their dynamic of what they want. That Gyron doesn't or De Gwyn doesn't really like war as much, and he kind of finds it disgusting.
Yep.
Yet he still wants power, and he wants power over the colonies. While Guren is younger, and he doesn't give a shit how many people die. He wants Earth as well.
Yeah.
And that dynamic kind of fucking voice crack. That dynamic kind of comes out towards the last
Well,
episode.
Dozel was the most interesting of the zombies, in my opinion.
He got the most screen time.
Um, well, that too, but like he's the most like he's just kind of confused, you know?
He's the one that's like he's like the stupid brother that they kind of fuck over
But
constantly
like
because he'll
he's
just do
he's
anything.
also clearly he clearly is the most human of them too.
Yeah,
It into an
because he's
like
simple as well.
he's
He's not as
simple.
greedy, and
He
he
doesn't
wants to
have
do right by what he
giant
believes.
wants. He just like likes his
Yeah,
family. That's it. His
he
only
likes his family.
downside is
He
that
wants
his
to have a
family
family.
sucks.
His family.
Like,
I mean, him as a person is he's kind of like this over the top, goofy villain in a way,
yeah.
of where he's stupid and he's put in this kind of ridiculous position of power where he wouldn't really be in without his family. But at the same time, you can
Absolutely.
tell he's very strong willed and yeah, he's an interesting character that gets dicked over by the rest of his family.
Pretty much.
Same with Garma. He has like actually the strongest connection to Garma as well.
Yep.
They very obviously care the most for each other. I
Uh-huh.
think they might be both the young. I don't know if who
Well,
is younger between Dozel and Giren or Cassilia
if I had to guess, Dozel is the youngest.
of those
Um,
three.
of those
Probably.
three.
I mean, just by the way they treat him, it's kind of like
No,
younger brother
exactly.
attitude.
Um,
Well, like Giren is probably the oldest,
I think so.
just by attitude wise. I mean,
Yeah.
Garma being like the true baby brother of the bunch as well. I
Oh,
really like that
absolutely.
dynamic where he's a little crybaby bitch who really
Yeah,
wants to prove himself, but like as soon as he sees a gun, he pisses his pants.
pretty much. Um, yeah, I don't know. It was interesting. And like, I mean, because they're terrible people, ultimately. They're
Yeah,
terrible people who did terrible things. But you also can kind of empathize with them because
some
they're
aspects. I think.
to an extent.
Mhm. I think it's also
Um,
interesting to like note that like I don't know they very much humanize Ramba Rawl in this series as well.
uh-huh.
You know, mustache guy.
Yeah.
Um, he's a pretty interesting character in the original Gundam. I don't want to spoil too much.
Okay.
I kind of like him a bit, but I think this makes me like him a lot more. They change actually a bit about his character because in the original
Uh-huh.
Gundam, I think it's stated that he's like a war hero that fought in the Lum battle, which is the big battle in episode
Yeah.
like 5 and 6.
Which
But
he
in this
didn't.
OVA, he doesn't
Yeah.
because he kind of becomes a he kind of doesn't go through with destroying one of the sides and causing it to go into Earth. Goes
And
against
so he's
Dozel's
punished
orders
and
and
like
he
all
gets
the
demoted
things.
big time.
Yeah.
And he's kind of treated as a traitor. But in the actual Gundam show, he's kind of a bit of a war hero, and he's given his own fleet similar to Char's,
Oh, really?
like the size of Char's. Yeah, and
Oh,
that's how like he meets the White Base and all that big
interesting.
battles. Yeah, he's also there with Crowley Hamon, I think. Yeah, yeah, she was in that
Uh-huh.
as well. Yeah, she's his wife there in that
Oh,
show.
gotcha. That makes sense.
Yeah, they're kind of
she was a
minor
really
villains that
interesting
are very
character.
humanized in that show as well.
Um,
Like they're not shown as being too bad of people.
I liked Crowley.
Not, no, yeah, I
Um,
think Crowley and Rom are kind of the standouts in the first
uh-huh.
2 episodes,
Absolutely.
character wise. I mean, they're just fun to watch, and they're
Oh
not
yeah.
bad people, so to speak. I mean, they do some pretty atrocious
They're
shit
kind of just on the
sometimes.
wrong side, you know?
Yeah, I mean, in some circumstances, too, the Earth Federation ain't too good.
Right.
I think
Well, and
there's a lot of that as well,
that's
like
the great
both
thing
sides not being
about
too great.
that's the great thing about
So a lot
Gundam
of
though
gray
is
area.
nobody's good. It's almost entirely gray, except for
Yeah,
like these splotches of essentially red. Because I mean,
These really
we see
horrible
these
people. Yeah.
horrible things happen to people who are pretty much unrelated.
Yeah.
Um,
And it's like you see a basic Xeon troop, and they're not a bad person.
no,
They're just fighting for their side. They're fighting for their country, so to speak, and they have no real
exactly.
say in what they do. I
Um,
mean, it's stuff like that where you're like, oof.
oh yeah. Well, it's
And
kind
that makes
of
for some really interesting stories. I think I don't know, getting a larger perspective on who the big bad guys of the first season of Gundam are is just really interesting. And they
yeah.
do humanize them in certain ways, or at least just bring
Char
to light
is
their
the least
dynamic.
human. He's the least humanized out of this entire series.
Actually, yeah,
Um,
Char's really interesting. I really like Char.
well,
If I didn't
okay.
state that
So,
like three
do you
times
want?
already. Do
Yes, we're
you want to talk
aware
about
that
Char
you
now?
are head over heels in love with Char.
Let's
Um,
what a perfect pretty boy sociopath.
um, and so I mean, yeah, I'd like to talk about Char a little bit because he's
All
the
right.
most. It centers around him the most, but we have the
Yeah, he's
least
got the most screen
insight to
time.
how he feels.
Hmm,
Um,
that's true.
we get all
I mean,
of
I
these
think a lot of that is
shots
he's.
of him suppressing how he feels or him moving on or him like fighting
Hmm.
to just keep going. Because, I mean, ultimately, his life went to shit when he was really young.
Oh yeah,
So it's like you get it. But because like
yeah. You get where
his
he
dad is
is,
assassinated. He's forced to flee his like
his
home
country,
and leave his mom
and then
behind.
he's chased constantly. He's forced to leave his mother behind. He has to
He's
take care of
chased
his younger
constantly.
sister.
Yeah, he
He's
has to be the
constantly
older
being chased.
brother.
He's being targeted, and it causes
Um,
him to become this fucking sociopath.
really cold, really angry. And essentially he
Yeah.
pushes that all down just to be able to keep going. And like
Oh
later
yeah.
on it gets worse when his mother dies. And so
And then he just goes off the
he's
rails and becomes this
just this
complete
terrible person.
insane.
But
Hmm.
due to
I kind
terrible
of
circumstances.
yeah. Which is an
Um,
interesting character setup, but it's like this guy's an at a certain point this guy becomes an irredeemable scumfuck
oh,
bastard,
absolutely.
and it's kind of
But
funny to
like,
watch because he is very arrogant with it, and he
uh-huh.
shows so little emotion aside from just being fucking confident and smiling all the time and
No,
being like,
exactly.
"Yeah, fuck you, I just
And
fucking
then
murdered you."
and then anger. He
It's
shows
just
anger too.
yeah,
And for whatever reason,
no, it's
he's like supposedly the most intimidating person in the world or whatever shit.
I love that shot where the dude grabs me, he stares at the dude, and the dude flies like 30
I
feet
know,
backwards because
right?
how scared he is. That's hilarious. It came out of nowhere too.
It
It's
was
like, yeah,
so
that's Char
weird.
though.
Um, but like, and then
But he
like,
does have this very intimidating presence
oh,
as a character
absolutely.
because of how cold he is.
And that's kind of his whole character, because
Yeah.
eventually he
I mean, he's
just stops caring about anything except
mhm.
himself. And maybe his
Yeah, where he
sister?
is.
Maybe? I'm not really sure
No,
about that.
he leaves Sayla. He kind of just fucks off out of there. By the time he like goes off and replaces and becomes Char Aznable, he's very much left his sister behind in a lot of
Yeah,
aspects.
which is unfortunate.
And
But
there's no real thing where he goes back to try and connect with her or anything.
yeah.
I
I was
one of the big
expecting
things I
that,
really
but it
like
didn't
that's
happen, so
mhm. One of the things I really like in this that's or towards the end of this OVA that's explored well in his character, at least in Gundam, is the part where he uh meets the commander guy,
the
the big
Admiral?
hotshot commander, the admiral guy.
Wait,
Yeah,
which
where that
one?
guy is. I mean, he was the guy who was captured by Zeon at the very end.
Yeah,
And
the
then
Admiral
the United
guy.
Federation fucking launches in like a small attack, breaks him out of jail. You know, they get SEAL Team 6 in there to break this admiral out of jail.
Yeah.
And then on their way back, Char kind of catches them on his like test flight of his ship.
And they're like, "Oh shit,
And
what
then
are we gonna
he sees that this
do?"
guy is there, and they're like, "Oh no, no, Char's just gonna fucking kill this guy. What do we do? The United Federation is we're gonna be fucked. Oh no!" And Char's just like, "Oh no, this is going to be interesting if we let him
Yeah.
go back. Okay, I'm gonna let you
And he
leave."
just
And then the
lets him
dude
go.
causes he lets him go because he knows that this dude is going to cause the war to be prolonged.
Oh yeah. Because that's his
And
whole
I think I
point, essentially, is he
and
just wants the
he
war
calls it
to keep
like
going, right?
entertainment for himself. He calls it like he doesn't want to pass up on this big. He doesn't want to like stop this big piece of entertainment that's about to happen, or
Yeah.
these military theatrics from going down, which I think is very indicative of how he kind of sees everything from that point on.
Yeah.
it's just kind of being a game, and he's
Really
just gets to
interesting.
watch it and laugh.
He's fascinating.
There's a the reason I really like him so much. I'm gonna spoil a bit of the original Gundam. Dude
Go for
fucking
it.
betrays Garma like episode 9,
Oh shit.
like big
Yeah.
time. And he says the fucking line as he like debates Garma into getting fucking destroyed by Gundam. As it's like you should blame this on the misfortune of your birth. As he just cracks up in his ship talking to Garma on the radio as Garma just gets fucking annihilated.
Yeah.
And it is so funny. And then like one episode later, as like there's old people stuck on the white base ship, and as they try and get off when they land on Earth, they're trying to run off the base. A shark comes out of his ship and just starts blasting them
Uh-oh.
for no reason. Just civilian old people. He just starts blasting them. He just fucks off and leaves after he does that and
Oh,
scares like the
lovely.
people in the white base.
How nice of
It's
him.
he's completely ridiculous. Like he's such an entertaining scumfuck bastard of a character
Yeah.
because of how like over the top evil he is. But he's still charming at the same time. He's got like the charisma on top of his detestableness,
Yeah.
which makes him really fun to watch. And the fact that he's like never really aligned with Xeon, so to speak,
Uh-huh.
because like everything he does there is kind of, this is me. I'm on my ship. I'm going to do what I want. I don't want to be
Yeah, I was
this big space
expecting
captain
more of a political plot against Xeon, honestly.
from
Um,
Char's perspective.
yeah, that's what I was really that's where I expected it
That's
to
a thing that
go.
like they couldn't touch on in this OVA because it happens later down the line
Oh, gotcha.
throughout the actual Gundam. That it's like
Um,
they set a lot of seeds for it. I mean, it's a lot
yeah.
of what this OVA does is planting a lot of seeds for what follows up chronologically
Yeah, I was gonna say
and kind
because
of showing you how stuff got to
it
where it
definitely
was.
sets the stage for a lot of things that it doesn't really follow through with.
Mhm.
So I guess
Which I mean, it
that makes
does.
sense that
Yeah,
it's a prologue.
yeah. It's
Um, so it's
it's
really interesting.
this show is kind of just made for the sake of fan service, being
Yeah.
like Gundam fans, you're gonna want to see this. I'm kind of glad I did. Do you want to talk
Yeah,
about one of the art,
sure.
the CG? Because there's a
It
lot of that.
was actually really not bad.
Yeah.
Um,
So for context, this show came out in 2015, or the OVA
yeah,
started
I noticed
coming out in
that.
2015. They ended. I think the last one came out in like 2018.
Yeah.
But there's not too significant of a difference between them. I don't think. Maybe I have to like compare them, like the
I don't
CGI from
know.
one to another. But I don't think there was. I think they kept with a lot of the same models between
Yeah,
stuff.
no, I think so. It was it was good. It was somewhat noticeable only because I was looking every once in a while. But
Oh,
like
really? You didn't notice it that much?
not a ton. And nothing
Really?
glaringly obviously CGI. I mean,
Oh, okay. Well,
like
for me, it was. I mean, it's not like the whole show is in CGI. It's only like the battles that are. But
exactly. I was gonna say it's some of the suits. There was
all the
one.
mobile suits are CGI.
Well, yeah. Um,
Yeah.
and then there's this one room that's CG. Um, it's
Wait, really?
the dudes. I'm pretty sure it's
Which one? Is it inside like one of the spaceships or something?
no, it's what's his face's office. The
Oh, yeah. Well, that makes sense. Yeah. No, no.
his office is
Amuro's dad's
CGI.
office.
That's it. Like I just
Yeah.
that stood out to me because
Well,
it was
that
the
was for
most
like
obvious.
the one reason of just having that shot panning around Amuro as he looks around this
Exactly.
room, and they have to
Um,
have it be in CG for that. I think. I mean, okay, for like Sunrise, I'd say has some really good CG. If you look at their most recent CG project, which I think
uh-huh.
is the like most recent Gundam movie, the remake of Cruise Island, has some like seriously good CG. I was like, damn, kind of blew me away. I was like, holy shit, this
Yeah.
is a production from like 2021. Okay, that makes sense. I
Uh-huh.
think this is has a lot more noticeable and worse CGI. It's just like the quality is lower on a lot of the textures and stuff,
Yeah.
and the models aren't super detailed and stuff like that. But it's never like the shading fell off, which I think is a good thing. Like the compositor behind this, the guy doing the compositing, did like a really good job of
It's
making the
so good.
CGI
I mean,
fit
the CGI fits
well
really well. It
because
doesn't
it's
it
when you look at it, you go, that's CGI, but it's not like that's bad CG. It
No, it's
fits in
good.
there,
It fits
and it's
well.
not gross to look at. It is really nice to look at, and I mean, probably my biggest gripe with the CGI is the fucking CGI explosions.
Uh-huh.
Did you notice those? The fact that this
Not a
the explosions in
ton,
CGI just they don't look
but
as good as somebody who really like
I mean,
explosion
I
animation because
personally,
explosions are sick.
I
Yeah.
really like shitty explosions.
Oh.
I
Okay, well, you're
have
on
a
the opposite
I
side of the
have a thing
spectrum.
for it. I have loved it since Star Wars. Like bad, stupid explosions are kind of really fun for me.
Oh, really?
So I don't it doesn't
I'm
stand
more
out
of
to
a fan
me.
of, like, when watching a, like, anime especially, it's like, "Damn, that explosion was fucking crazy looking." I love, like, explosion effects and debris effects in
Yeah.
animation, like, really good debris sakuga. But, yeah, some of the when they do the CG explosions, like, on the big ships and stuff,
Uh-huh.
it's just, eh,
I don't
which
know.
is really disappointing for the fights because there's so many damn explosions.
Yeah.
Like, they're not bad, but, like, if they were 2D, I'd be shitting my pants. But I
Yeah.
think the CG definitely allows for much longer battles. Like, I mean, episode OVA number 6 has, like, 20 minutes
At least.
of a battle. Yeah, I
I
think
mean,
that's just, like, 20 minutes
it's
straight
largely
massive
set
ship
around
battle
being in space
with,
and
like,
giant
tons of moving
armadas.
parts. Yeah. No, there's a lot of shit going on with that, and it's, like, because they had CG, they were able to do, like, lots of, like, panning and moving shots while keeping everything moving constantly, which is just really cool looking
Yeah,
and makes a bunch of big spaceships just shooting lasers, missing each other, a lot more interesting than just, like, having static images of that shit, or, like, just going for, like, less animated options in 2D.
absolutely. Yeah, no, I mean, they use the CG well too.
Yeah, they do a lot of like moving shots around stuff, which you can't do well in 2D without
Yeah,
drawing a lot of frames.
yeah,
Definitely saved a lot there. I think that allowed for a lot more with this OVA action wise.
uh-huh.
But I like graphically, this doesn't even come close to topping something like Thunderbolt or even like older productions from like the 90s or
Yeah.
80s.
It has
But it kind of goes from like volume over quality. In a lot of
yeah, it felt like a
animation
lot. It
aspects.
felt like it could have been less. Like,
Eh,
honestly,
I think it does it well for the.
it does
I mean, it
it
just makes full use of. They chose CG and they took it all the way with it. You
oh,
know,
absolutely.
I respect that.
I okay, my biggest issue with it is the length of the fucking recaps. There
You were annoyed by that?
I was annoyed by that because while I mean, maybe you could argue that they're not designed to be watched back to back and like binge them. So like they want to give people
Yeah,
better
it's
chance
just
to
like six
remember.
months between OVA.
Um, but like for back to back watching, it was really annoying. And
I mean,
also
it's
like
not hard to skip past it, but yeah,
no, absolutely. But I mean, I personally don't forget storylines that easily.
yeah,
Like even when
you
I
don't need it.
go
No,
a while. So like you don't need the 5 to 10 minute recaps. Um,
I don't know. I think that's just kind of a thing to have there.
yeah,
Okay, it's a fine thing to have. I don't think it really makes the experience worse because of how easy it is to just skip it.
no, yeah. It was interesting. They almost reframed bits and pieces in the recaps
Oh, you
sometimes.
actually watched some of the recaps?
Well, yeah, I watched a couple when didn't, or like the
Mm,
first little bit when I didn't realize it was a recap.
yeah.
And it was like just interesting. And then I noticed, and then as I was skipping through, I just caught little bits and pieces here. Um, but they just kind of, I mean, they do as you do in a show recap where you kind of cut bits and pieces just so
Yeah,
they fit,
you
you
cut it
know?
around and make it look
Um,
interesting. You try and get as much out there as you can in a few minutes.
exactly. I don't know. It was interesting at the very least. Um,
Mhm.
yeah, it was cool though. It was a good show. Um,
Yeah, another interesting aspect of the animation too is the character
mhm.
acting.
Yep.
There's a lot of that.
Oh yeah.
It's kind of a thing I've noticed with like newer
They
Gundam
they
more than a
did a
lot of other series. It's just
really
They pack in a lot of character acting there.
Oh
A lot
yeah.
of like facial expressions, a lot of facial movements
Yep.
as a
And
way of conveying how a character feels.
they do a really good job of making distinctive character designs too.
Hmm.
Especially for like those of import.
Yeah, no,
Some of them feel a
the design
little
works behind this show in like all
funky.
regards are really well done.
Some of them are a
Hmm?
little funky, like they were based off a show that was made in the 80s. Um,
Yeah, yeah,
but
you do
like,
kind of have like characters that are goofy looking.
they were good overall.
Hmm.
And they're so distinctive. They're so, I mean, the
Very
character
expressive.
designs
Yeah,
really fit the character personalities and the
that's
character
yes,
acting, which is
exactly.
so
Yeah,
good. Um, it's the exact opposite of like your stereotypical somebody looks mean, but like is the nice guy in whatever. Like I've read
yeah.
half a million
I
stories like
mean,
that
okay, Char looks like the evil pretty boy because he wears like sunglasses and
all the
he's got
time.
this like horrible grin on his face and he's
Re-
freaking blonde pretty boy. And so
yeah.
you're like, okay, this guy's going to be an asshole,
Oh
and
yeah.
he is.
And he is.
And then you have
Um,
like somebody like Dozel who is
yep.
big. He's got scars all over him, and he's gruff looking, and that's
And he's
exactly who he is. He's
but he's
loud and
also
gruff, and
big, loud, and he
yeah,
looks like an idiot, and he kind of is an idiot.
yeah, he looks
Um,
simple. He looks
yeah,
kind of like he's going to be stupid buff guy. Kind of, he is
and
that.
he is that.
Garmo
And
looks like rich pretty boy, and he is a rich pretty boy.
it's really
Very, yeah, they're
interesting
very fitting.
in what's his face? The like, I guess he's called the Supreme Commander, not the leader guy, but like the oldest brother. His character design is
Oh,
so simple, but so perfect.
yeah. Oh my god, it's so effective as
He
a villain as
just
well too.
looks evil.
The
He's
very
got the
angular shape of
slicked
everything
back
he's got.
hair,
Yeah.
super angular, super, I want to say super expressive neck. I've started
Mm,
noticing this since I've watched Monogatari or the Monogatari series, but he has a super expressive neck and
yeah.
head tilts that constantly look aggressive and cunning. Um, it was just really interesting that I just randomly noticed it, but like his design is so perfectly evil, kind of sleazy evil, rather
Yeah, I
than
mean,
like the
especially with like
aggressive evil.
him and De Gwyn both
Hmm.
convey like the two sides of this horrible human being coin that they are.
Yeah,
Of De Gwyn being like looking like Jabba the Hutt.
yeah,
To be honest, he is a thumb. He is built like a thumb.
oh yeah,
And he is like only seen really sitting because he's old and fat.
yeah.
But he has like this. He's so wrinkly and he's like the really sharp, distinctive nose, and he looks like he's like just a real doomer, horrible piece of shit. And he's like that the gray skin. He just looks like a decrepit evil zombie.
Which he is, pretty much.
Which yeah,
And he has no power. Is the in most
yeah.
interesting. He
Compared to
has
like
zero
Giran,
power compared to
yeah,
his
he's kind of
children.
he set all this stuff up, and then he's kind of forced to watch as he gets succeeded
Yep.
by Giran. I really like that aspect of this
Uh-huh.
because that's something you don't see as much in the actual Mobile Suit Gundam show.
Oh, what
Is a lot
the
of these dynamics among the villains.
yeah. Yeah, it was cool. I mean, like hell of a family dynamic. Um but like it was so well done the capturing of because and then like the what's her face? The evil zombie
Cassilia,
lady. Um
the red-haired one, Cassilia the zombie.
yeah. She was
Yeah, I
interesting
liked her as
too.
well,
I enjoyed
and her
her.
her role in the family.
She's kind of
Very
like
much this. It's
she's the
actually really a
spy.
show about family in a lot of aspects.
Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely.
No,
Um
she kind of seems to play her own role at
mhm.
first. Be a very independent person, but she's kind of just an underling to Giren in the end.
It yeah, it becomes like that. Or well, maybe kind of.
Yeah, it
The thing
becomes like that maybe.
it's
Yeah,
not so much that she's an underling, it's more so that she gains more by
by working with Giren. Yeah, she
working with
chose a
Giran
side of the family.
and prolonging the war because she is
Mhm.
one of the most powerful people in the Xeon uh principle
Yeah,
or
Xeon
principality.
military and politics.
she
Yeah.
is the military police of Xeon.
Yeah, pretty
Um,
much.
and so she has the most power when Xeon is under military control.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah,
so
she has a lot to gain by sticking with Giren because
exactly.
it's very obvious that he is going to become the true lead of. I mean, he has most of
He
the power at that point,
he has all
but
of the
De Gwyn is
military
still the one
power,
in power.
essentially.
Yeah, but De Gwyn is still the one in power, so to speak.
Yeah,
And then she knows that it's De Gwyn's going to be gone or forced into retirement,
shortly, very shortly.
and she's going to pick sides.
And she picked
Where she
which side
stands
she
with the
needed.
family. Yeah,
Um,
I think she was interesting.
fascinating.
Honestly,
Um,
it's also interesting to see how clear this show is with a lot of its character dynamics compared to like the original Gundam, which has a lot that's just like I don't know. It's a bit rougher in its storytelling just because it is a show from the late 70s that's trying to do a lot. It
yeah,
still has to fit in like its battle of the week a lot of the
yeah.
time and stuff like that. And it doesn't focus as much on some of these characters.
Hmm.
I don't know. I think
It's
the more recent Gundams have very well succeeded the original Gundam.
that makes sense. I
I still
mean,
think the original
well, because
Gundam's quite a good show.
it's a
It's an
different
interesting
audience,
look at
right?
things.
Because kind of essentially, as you explained to me, the the original Gundam show was designed and made as for kids, essentially. It was
Well,
supposed to be for kids.
it was the studio kind of pressuring. I think Tomino wanted to make a more adult work after he made a lot of
Yeah,
just super robot shows. I think he kind of got on board of that. And he's like, okay, I'm going to create a whole new subgenre of mecha. The real robot subgenre is what it would become.
yeah,
Where I just have put the mechas into a war situation and make a very like there's a lot of gray area in the original Gundam. There's a lot of stuff. But yeah, it's still there's a lot of pressure from the studio and the producers to be like, well, okay, you gotta make the mobile suit red, white, and blue and gold, so it looks
yeah,
cool and we can sell it to kids. And yeah, do X, Y, and Z. So that I have like I'm not sure if like the Battle of the Week format it kind of stuck with the show and his subsequent show, Ideon,
mhm,
was from the studio, pressuring him to be like, you have to have battles to show off the robot each episode
yeah,
because we need to sell toys, or if it was just like he kind of just had that there as like an insecurity
uh-huh,
because he's like, well, I've only made shows where there are monster battles of the week.
yeah,
Maybe I don't. Maybe I wouldn't be able to retain an audience, or I
without
don't
it.
really know what to do. I'm going to just put in a battle this week. I think it's probably a lot more of just like the studio being like, do this. We needed the audience. We need kids
Yeah,
to buy the toys
I don't
because
know.
it's like, yeah, the show is canceled because no kids were buying the toys, and
Right.
also because the show's dark. I mean, for the original Gundam, for like a show from the late 70s, it's really dark in a lot of aspects.
Yeah.
I mean, it's for a robot show, it's the first of its kind to be what it is, and what it
Uh-huh.
is morally gray and dark, and
And
it involves having like bad guys be characterized into pretty real
absolutely.
people and watching normal people get shot and killed you
Yeah,
know
I mean, that's what I was
I
gonna
mean
say
it's not
is
super graphic, and I think a lot of that is just you don't got the visuals of the time and stuff,
it's a
but yeah.
different audience, though,
Mhm.
is kind of the point, though. It's a different audience that they're permitted to make the show for, so they were able
Mhm.
to go deeper and into better writing in the more recent Gundam
Mhm.
pieces.
I think it's a lot more confidence in the
The
media
formula?
itself. Like this is a pre-established IP we have here.
Yeah.
We can do more with it. I mean, even soon after, like as soon as Gundam was kind of aired for a second season, I heard Zeta Gundam's meant to be really good. The second season of
Uh-huh.
Gundam, known as Zeta Gundam, I heard that's meant to be like the the best of the original shows that came out like the late 70s, early 80s.
Yeah,
It was followed by Double Zeta, which nobody likes. But yeah, past that point, I mean, moving into like the mid to late 80s, yeah, very much strayed from that monster of the week format type of thing or battle of the week, and it
absolutely.
got a lot more confident with its writing. and confident with its the story it was trying to tell as well, of being a very anti-war narrative,
Uh-huh.
which is something that isn't actually touched on a lot in the origin.
Well, no,
Is
because
like Gundam in most regards is very, very anti-war.
well,
Like most of its
it
things are
is in
like,
the
at the
extent
end of
of
the day,
showing the
this is
horrors of
anti-war.
wars. But
I
other
mean, yeah,
than
you still have
that,
like the scenes of like characters getting murdered for the sake of war, on characters they
um,
characterize well, kind of being killed
and
off for
that's
that. But still,
kind of the reason we had the getting to
the
know
setup for that,
those
yeah,
two
the
characters who were
couple,
living on side, I don't
whatever
know,
that
it
got
must have been
crashed into
side
Earth. I think it
2.
was Side 2 or something. Pretty sure
And
Side
then
2 or
like
5.
were killed, and then their entire uh space habitat was thrown at the Earth.
Hmm. I
Um,
don't know, but I mean, comparing it to other series of the franchise,
uh
it's not as It's definitely the least prominent aspect.
Well, and that's also because it follows a character
Yeah,
who's not
who is
anti-war,
war?
who is like the
Yeah, who's
cause for
pro-war
war.
because yeah, he's the guy who started the war. He's the guy who tipped the scales in the first place.
Exactly.
I think that is pretty interesting take on that. If you want to watch more Gundam, I definitely recommend I mean the original Gundam, but that's like 43 episodes,
Uh-huh.
which can be a lot. But I recommend the short OVA War in a Pocket, which is like 6 30-minute episodes.
All right.
And that's probably like that's the most anti-war you'll get out of Gundam.
Yeah.
It's a really good anti-war narrative that takes place in the same Universal Century 1 year war timeline.
Uh-huh.
Like it takes place towards the end of the 1 year war. It was made in the late '80s, and it's a really well done show. And it's another one of those that's not focused on the Gundams itself,
Oh, gotcha.
but more on the characters. I mean, that's like saying, "Oh my god, this robot show is actually about the characters and not the robots," as if it's like that's every single robot show is more about the
Yeah.
characters than it is the robots.
But I
But I
mean,
think that's
cool
the one that's
robots.
like one of the one. I mean, similar to like the origin that's very decentralized from the robots, and the robots don't play a big part in it.
Yeah.
And there's
Well,
like big segments of it without robots.
I mean, arguably the robots do play a big part in it in the later episodes,
Hmm.
purely because they're kind
Because
of
it's war.
it's war and
Yeah.
they're
I mean,
weapons.
I think
But
there's also
like,
they wanted to tell the narrative like how the early mobile suits were created, like the
yep.
Zaku's. And you have to have like
Yeah.
you have to have that there.
Then you
That's a
have
good
to.
bit of information.
Um, what's a show
Yeah, so
about
all in all,
robots without robots?
mhm, all in all, this was like
Um,
definitely a good Gundam entry. I'm not sure if
Definitely.
this should be somebody's first Gundam show.
I would not
I
recommend.
don't know if it makes for the best starting point. Really,
I
you
personally,
wouldn't recommend it as a starting point
I would not recommend
as a
it as a
show.
starting point. I fully recommend it as a show. It's a great
Yeah.
show and it's really engaging, maybe a little slow at times, but especially in the earlier episodes, but definitely a quality show. It's just
Hmm.
as a starting point, as your introduction to Gundam, this is not the place to start. Um, no, I don't like watch something with actual robots in it. I will say that. Watch something with robots
That's
in
true.
it, but like something, I mean, because I think from what I've heard, I don't think you can necessarily go wrong with the later ones. Just like
You
starting
mean the more
somewhere that
recent
the more
stuff?
recent stuff.
Yeah, I
Um,
mean, there's certain ones. I don't know if you'd. I don't know about Unicorn. How much context you'd actually want for something like
uh-huh.
Unicorn, but you
I'd
can watch
say
things like
anything
War in a Pocket or Thunderbolt with just a
anything
little
that's
bit of
not
like Universal
necessarily
Century
fully
context in
part
it.
of the main storyline or whatever, I think is a fine place to start.
Yeah, I mean,
The reason that this one is not a good place to start is it's a prequel based on the assumption that you have already watched what it's like proceeding.
yeah,
Um, so you just don't have the necessary context to
you don't get
fully
as much out
understand.
of it. No,
Um,
I'd if Gundam wise for probably what I'd recommend for first watches. If you want like something that's really Gundam heavy, just big robot fight heavy,
uh-huh.
probably like G Gundam or Build Fighters. G Gundam is just like fucking Dragon Ball Z, but big robots. And then Build Fighters is Metabots, but with Gundam. And
Yeah.
the fights are really well animated in that one because that came out in like 2013 and it's 2D animation. And it's just,
Uh-huh.
oh, wow, that's a good looking show. Even though it is a kid's show, pretty
Yeah.
much.
I mean, there's no
I'd
harm
also
in
recommend, I
that.
mean, like any of the kind of the spin off ones too are good places to start.
Uh-huh.
But they're not directly related to the timeline of
Yeah.
this Gundam series here. You could always start with like the original Gundam, even though can be
Yeah, why not?
harsh on the eyes. Yeah.
Um,
Maybe this wasn't the best first Gundam to show you.
I mean, no, I enjoyed it. I fully enjoyed it. And
Hmm.
I'd like to watch more Gundam to be able to better understand it. I'd just say I've also already had at least a taste of Gundam, so I knew what to expect.
Yeah.
And it continued with the exact same feeling.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, I would just recommend maybe for other peoples who have never seen any Gundam, maybe watch something else first. But it's
Yeah.
good. I do recommend watching it, just maybe not first.
uh,
Um, all right, I think
well,
we're talked out.
that was that.
Um, yeah, okay, next week I should say, next week
Spice and Wolf.
Spice and Wolf season one, only season
Yes.
one, I believe, right?
Yeah, sure.
Um, yeah, but so that's what we're doing next week. Thank you very much for joining us, everybody. As always, it's been a pleasure. And yeah, we'll see you next time, couple weeks, wherever you're watching. Find us on YouTube, at Morningstar Productions, Spotify at Late Night Anime, all the places. If you're watching, you can find us live at twitch.tv/sleeplessbee. But
Yeah,
thanks for joining us,
that's the
everybody,
things.
and we'll see you next time. Bye.
See ya.
Late Night Anime is produced by Morningstar Productions. We record live on Twitch at twitch.tv/sleeplessbee every other Friday. Episodes are available on YouTube at Morningstar Productions, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. Thank you for joining us.